Town of Adams Board of Selectmen's meeting is now in session, Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. Would everyone please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda this evening is the approval of minutes. It was a regular meeting from March 2nd, 2022. Christine was not able to make that meeting. So what is the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion that the board waive a reading of the minutes and approve them as provided for March 2nd, 2022.
Motion by Rick,
I second.
second by Howard. Any discussion, omissions, additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Any abstentions?
One abstention.
4 approved, 1 abstention. Public comment. Anyone in the audience who would like to address the Board of Selectmen with anything that is not on this evening's agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will move on. Old business. The first item, Sunday entertainment license application. This was from the Adams Agricultural Fair, 371 Old Columbia Street in Adams, on Sundays after 1 p.m. until December 31st, 2022. This was, the motion was made by Rick, and the second was made by Howard. So if we want to bring that back for discussion, those individuals would have to be the ones that do that.
Okay, I'll make a motion to put back on the table the Sunday entertainment license application and the weekly public entertainment license application for the Adams Agricultural Fair.
I second it.
Motion made by Rick, second by Howard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous. Did you want to give us an overview of this, or who can?
Just recalling, I believe there was a discrepancy between what the frequency was for the agricultural fair group. Chuck is here tonight, Mr. Felix is here tonight. Chuck, come on up, please. I believe the discrepancy was the frequency, nature of the events and the frequency for Sundays, and we just needed, the board just requested some clarification from the fair folks.
Could you state your name, please, and the organization you're associated with?
Charles Felix, the Adams Agricultural Fair.
Okay, so we had this, one of two, the first one that's been submitted. The board has some questions?
Yeah, I have one. Now, the Sunday application, is that for just the one day for the demo derby?
Yeah, it was just for the one day. My wife made out the check, so who knows?
Okay.
I think she just figured she'd cover everything, because the Fairy Festival is on Saturday. The only other event we have on the Sunday is the Fall Run in September, and they usually come in and do their own thing.
Okay. It's the only question I had on that one, was if it was just the one day or if it was
Yeah, she kind of
entertainment
said,
license.
yeah, just, we'll cover everything.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Hearing none?
I do have,
Sure, okay.
I wasn't here for the discussion at the last meeting, but that's okay. I'm just curious, normally when the committee has their events for the year, you
Yeah.
send a letter just notifying us of when they are and what events are
We're
taking
still
place.
putting a board together.
I figured it's still probably in process, but I'm just putting out my request that
Oh, yeah,
you
no,
send
because
that
I have
on.
to send in a notice every month on what we're gonna be having at the field.
Okay.
Okay?
All set. Anyone else? Okay, what is the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the Sunday entertainment license application for the Adams Agricultural Fair for, what was the date?
Well, that's the issue, because if you look at the the license that was supplied, it says date Sundays with no specific date, time 1 PM, demolition derby, music and pavilion festivals, etc. So I would suggest that if we were to approve this tonight, we essentially approve a demolition derby every Sunday through the end of December. I think that was where some of the confusion was from last week, because there's no specific,
So wouldn't we just put the date of the demolition derby, call it a day?
whatever date Mr. Felix says.
Do you have a
Says that-
date for the demolition derby? Is it written
We
down?
haven't signed them, but it's on the Sunday,
First weekend in August, correct?
the 7th, yeah.
August 7th?
August 7th.
All right, for August 2nd, or 7th, excuse me.
Okay, August 7th is in your motion. Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Howard, discussion.
I guess I'm just wondering why we wouldn't be approving a license for Sundays for festivals, which would include the demolition derby, if it is an all-encompassing license. And it lists other events. So again, I wasn't here for the conversation at the last meeting, so I don't know if anyone wants to fill me in as to,
I think this is just the Sunday entertainment license. The weekly one is also, well, that's next,
right.
and that runs through December.
But if the Aggie Fair folks ended up doing a fundraiser for the Aggie Fair with a concert, like on a Sunday afternoon, then they'd have to come back to us for another license?
Right.
Okay,
Unless it was Monday through Saturday.
okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous. All right. And the second item under old business, weekly public entertainment license application, the Adams Agricultural Fair, 371 Old Columbia Street. Adams, Monday through Saturday until December 31st, 2022. Howard, you made the motion to table, and Rick made the second.
Okay, I make a motion to bring the weekly public entertainment license application for the Adams Agricultural Fair back onto the table for deliberation.
Motion by Howard, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous. Okay, what was the issue with this one? It may have been tied in with the last one, too.
Very similar.
It was a similar concern, it just wasn't clear in terms of if they were looking for just those typical 3 dates in August, or if it was a more frequent occurrence.
Would you mind coming back up, please? So the intention of the Monday through Saturday until December 31st, public entertainment license application, what was your intention of that?
Basically, it was just for the fair, because everybody else comes on their own before you. And really, right now, the only other festival we have is Fairy Festival in June, and then the Fall Run in September.
And they come in separately to the board?
Yeah, they usually all
Yeah.
take care of their own,
They have in the past?
yeah.
Okay.
So I just, I handed it to my wife, and she made the checks out, and I have no clue.
All right. Like the rest of us, probably. So,
Poor wife is getting a lot of blame tonight.
Oh, yeah, what's in that year?
I'm aware. I understand.
okay, so this one here, we also want to put a unique date on it. This would be for the 3 days, though, correct?
Yeah,
So what are those 3 days?
5th, 6th, and 7th.
Okay. What is the board's pleasure?
Can I ask?
Sure, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, Chuck, in the past, some years you've had an event on the Thursday evening,
Yeah, not this year.
not this year. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't too limiting if we only did the 3 days.
No,
and
we're
not-
just doing the 3 days. Hopefully, it's all 3, maybe 2.
Okay.
We're not sure. we're trying to get all the people together. I'm one of the young people, so we're in trouble.
Because last year, we didn't have an event. Is that true, or did we?
Right, we never had the fair. We had other events on the field.
Right.
Everybody wanted their dance recitals on the field for most of the month of June. We haven't heard from anybody yet for that, so we're open. I mean, we have somebody who called and they never got back to me, and they wanted have a graduation party there.
Okay.
It's like, okay, as long as you go through the proper channels, we don't care.
Sounds good. So we have the 3 dates. What is the board's pleasure? We don't have a motion yet.
No, and I do have one question though, is like the Ferry Festival, when they come in, I don't remember them coming in for an entertainment license for the day.
I think that they've used the Aggie Fair license.
Right, but Aggie Fair won't have a license if we
Right.
do it for just the 5th, 6th, 7th of August.
They would have to apply for it.
For this year, there's not much we can do with what we've got, I think.
Yeah.
So I think we just take what we have, the 3 days that the gentleman indicated, and go with it, and then Fair Festival will have to come in.
So do you want the
Yeah.
Ferry Festival to come in?
Yeah, they're gonna have it.
I'm on the Ferry Festival committee too.
Oh, you are, okay, because we don't have that information in front of us.
Yeah, I don't know whether they have everything they're doing yet. I know the date. They had the date of June, it's right the day before Father's Day.
Okay, so,
They were the 18th, June 18th.
okay, so it's not on the paperwork that we have, so I think we just should go with what we have
Okay.
and have them come in separately, fill out their own form, and we'll take care of that time. Also, the fall run, which has alcohol involved, we can deal with that too. Okay, so,
I'll make a motion that the board approve the weekly public entertainment license application for the Adams Agricultural Fair for August 5th, 6th, and 7th of 2022.
okay, we have a motion by Rick, do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, so this will take care of the fair, right?
That's all I hear about right now.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none? Unanimous, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right, we got that old business out of the way. Okay, now we have new business. We have several items this evening. The first one, well, I'm going to have to, the first two items this evening have to do with marijuana distributors in whatever form. I work for a federal defense company, and I have discussed with the lawyers of the company, and they've indicated that I should not discuss, partake in, or vote in regards to marijuana because it is still illegal at the federal level. So I will be stepping down for new business items A, and items B, Vice Chairman Hoyt will take over the meeting.
Thanks, John. Oh, okay. Thanks. So the first company that is on the agenda to present is Mota. And if those who are representing Mota could, and I'm hoping I'm saying it correctly.
Mota.
Mota, okay.
So just think of park the car.
Oh,
Mota.
I got you now. All right, okay. And I believe Eamon is also here from Community Development. You know Eamon well, and you've met with Town Administrator. So Jay or Eamon, I don't know if you guys have anything to
I'll set the
start us off?
stage. Eamon, I don't know if you want to turn that monitor so the board can see it at all. Carl and Billy, we met probably about 2 months ago, I want to say at this point. The property that they're specifically interested in is the former Burke Construction property at Renfrew Rotary. They're interested in both growing and distribution from that site. We had a good meeting with them. They have some experience working with Triple C. They've been working with the property owner to secure a purchase and sale agreement there, and we felt that they were far enough along, and they had done sufficient research and committed to Adams enough that both Eamon and I felt it was time to give them the opportunity to present to the board before we moved them further through the local permitting process as well. So, Eamon, if there's anything you wanted to add to that, feel free. Hiding in the corner.
Yes, we're waiting to make a lot of noise moving this projector in the other direction. Nothing to add, that's a great introduction.
Okay. And this is the next step in the town's process, when a company doesn't. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
We'll hit WD for me on that tomorrow.
Yeah. So with all of that introduction. if you'd like
Thank you for having us. I'd like to make an introduction. First, we have David Levitt, who's our general counsel, who's here with us. Garrett, please step up as well. We have Garrett Ramon, who's our cultivator. And then we have Billy Almonte, who's our COO. And then I'm Carl Nickerson, the CEO of Mota. And I'd just like to start, I want to make it quick. I want to make sure we're respectful of the time that you guys are allowing us. Just to start off with our mission and vision statements that really speak to what we're trying to do and accomplish. To cultivate, manufacture, and supply superior quality cannabis products while actively contributing to community, economic vitality, and social equity. That, for us, is our major mission for the company and what we look to accomplish going forward. And then our vision and how we get there is basically we want to be the distinct leaders within Massachusetts for the cannabis market, again, by providing superior quality products, meeting the dynamic demands of recreational and medicinal needs. As licensed cultivators, product manufacturers, and delivery operators, our operations are streamlined and efficient to allow us to dedicate all required attention to assuring the highest quality, potency, and safety of our products. With the full life cycle from cultivation to delivery, we aim to create a robust and sustainable ecosystem that would lead to economic development of our local communities. We aspire to foster diversity and equity by providing for opportunities for those disproportionately impacted on the war on drugs. So that's really a focus of where we stand as a company and our values. I quickly just want to jump into the market size that's in the United States for cannabis right now. It's projected to be over $30 billion in revenue generated. I believe there's 32 states right now that have approval, and it's basically about 17% year-over-year growth rate in that market. And if we can just dial down, now let's look at Massachusetts. And basically for us, we find that there's a big space, especially for us small guys, for disruption. The biggest part of that is we are social equity. And what that is, and I'll speak very quickly on it, Massachusetts was one of the first states, if not the first state, to write in a social equity aspect into their laws and regulations. And basically what that allows is if you've ever been arrested for cannabis, if your parents have ever been arrested for cannabis, or if you fall under a certain poverty level, I believe it's 3 times the federal poverty level, you can qualify for a special, it's not a license, but a designation that puts you as social equity. And what that allows is there's 2 specific licenses that the Cannabis Control Commission is only allowing those in social equity to use, and that's the delivery operator model. So it's a retail, but it's not a retail license considered by the Cannabis Control Commission. Basically, it's an online model. You place an order online, and we drive from our facility straight to your home. There's no cash transactions, and it's a very secure process. It's actually, no license have been issued yet, but they're saying by the end of this year, that delivery operator license will be in effect. And we have 3 years. So once that license is issued, for the next 3 years, social equity has a monopoly on that license. No one else can use that license. In 3 years, it's going to go back in front of the Cannabis Control Commission. If they find that social equity has made an establishment in this business model, they will most likely open it up to other folks. If they find there's not enough social equity in this business and it's still a hard process to get through, they will continue that blockage only for social equity until they find that it's enough to open it up to everyone else. And the second license is social consumption. So that's where you can go into a for sale location and you can smoke on the premises. That's going to be a further way out, but we really feel that that gives us a huge way to disrupt, especially with vertical integration. The fact that we can start from seed, cultivate it, manufacture it, and we can go wholesale in that direction, and with a delivery operator, we can go straight to retail. And again, that's, if the license happens in 2022, that'll be good until 2025, until the Cannabis Control Commission reviews it again. Another big thing about Massachusetts is the estimates on revenue generated in Massachusetts and sales alone. They were projecting by 2024 that it would reach $1 billion. They surpassed $2 billion in 2021. So the numbers are just through the roof. It's insatiable. And the best part about it, it's a very young market still.
Could you back up?
Sure, of course.
What do the colors mean on the map of Massachusetts?
So those are the cities and towns that either voted to have cannabis in there, and then some of the ones that are lighter colors, because, for example, a town can have a dispensary, manufacturing, cultivation, but not allow delivery, or have delivery serviced in their town. So there's things that they can go with and not go with, and that's just saying anything that's green is basically has all the provisionals in there that you can do: cultivation, manufacturing, delivery, social consumption. None of this has to do with it, but it's just those three main components.
What's the red?
The red is where they don't allow it at all.
Okay.
The next slide, again, is just to talk about the property at Renfrew. So we're hoping to use the existing infrastructure that's there. And from the warehouse that's about 5,400 square feet, we look to do about 3,000 pounds of cannabis within that 5,000 square feet. Right now, or at least when this was done up, this was done quite some time ago, it was $3,000 a pound for wholesale. The market has actually driven that price up to $4,500. So it's just, again, the numbers-wise, where we're getting our numbers is basically from that 5,000, we can do about 3,000 pounds a year. And at 3,000 pounds wholesale, we would be looking at $9 million in revenue, once we can get that facility up and running. Part of that is a huge part of that is to our delivery endorsement. Again, we want to use local brands. We want to market Massachusetts the same way Colorado and other states market their bud, saying, hey, this is Cali weed. We want to make sure that folks start recognizing that there's some real good growers out here. We have one of the best with us, so that we can start establishing, a home product, a home market, where we can start saying, hey, Adams or Northwest or Berkshires, they have some good quality stuff because of the way they grow, again, from brands. Strains especially, we look to create some custom strains for the community. And then we are Massachusetts residents. And in some time in the near future, we also look to become residents of Adams, because we all live in Boston, or Garrett lives in Rhode Island. So once we
forgive you.
once we do start getting into that process where we need to be here much more, we're looking at purchasing a property, and Billy and Garrett is actually going to move out here permanently while that's going on there. Again, delivery to consumers for us is going to be huge to get to retail, because the numbers on wholesale about $4,500. If we can get to retail, we can go from $6,500 to $7,500 a pound. We can really generate a lot of revenue, and I'll have some slides to speak on that. Basically, these are the numbers that I just threw in here to kind of give you an idea of the numbers we can get. So what you're seeing here is at the bottom, you see 30 grams per square foot all the way up to 60 grams per square foot. And each one is different on the strain, right? Some strains take a little longer, some strains take a little less, some grow more yield. But for an example, and that's at the high end obviously, the black marker is where you can get $65, or that's premium grade A. So if we can get up to 60 grams per square foot at our facility and be at retail at $65, we have sales that could reach over $25 million. And that's the type of revenue we can hope to generate from Adams in the host community fees. The next strategy is just about growth. Again, it's about best practices. So one of the big reasons Billy Almonte is with us is he has a history in compliance. He's done 15 years in the pharmaceutical world in Massachusetts and Boston, working with the top line companies. Can I even mention them? You would rather not me mention them?
It's okay.
Well, he's just finished.
Proud of that company.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he just finished up with Moderna, at Genzyme, Sanofi, I mean, all the big names. Products won't leave the warehouse unless he signs on it. So one of the first people I called when I figured I was going to get into this was this gentleman here, because if there's one thing that can stop this business besides having bad blood, and that is compliance. The CCC is very, very strict on how that works, and I wanted someone with so much experience to get in there. And also, he's a very close friend from childhood, so I thought it would be a perfect match. But that's very important to us. And also, partnering with social equity participants in emerging markets. So some things that I've talked to Amy and Jay about from our experience here so far has been wonderful. We've met with the chief of police, building inspector, fire chief. Who else did we meet with? Everyone has been very nice with us, open with us, and it hasn't always been the case because we've been in other towns where it's not as open or friendly, I guess, if I want to use those words. And what I explained to them is we're going to be working and mentoring with a lot of other social equity applicants. And some of the main barriers coming into this market is capital and a property. And those two things kind of go hand in hand. And then the next most important thing would be your town, right? You can find the best property, you can have all the money, but if you're in the wrong town. So what I told them is, from our experience, I'm feeling very comfortable in saying that through this process, what we hope to do is bring more business out here to Adams. To tell them, look, this is what our experience has been. This is how they've helped us. We've helped them. Very open. They want this business here. And it's a great place for you guys to be, especially when you're doing what we're doing, because location, we're not a dispensary. We don't need you to come to us. We're going to go to you. So it's really, whether we're in Boston or we're in Adams, we can still get it done. And there's a huge market for those folks that are looking for locations, looking for towns, and then being able to see us to say, look, we're doing it. We've worked with them. We've had blueprints. We know Jay. We know Eamon. And we would hope to bring more businesses out here. So that's a huge focus for us. And then again, it's more for us on the cannabis side, it's about genetics and IP. Creating strains that you can only find here is basically what we're saying there. And then this slide I kept in here. There's a lot of information, but if we just went to, I believe it's the 1, 2, 3, under expenses, it's your second line down, community benefit. That's the host community impact fee that we would be paying to Adams on an annual basis once we can achieve the numbers that we can do once we max out the 5,000 square feet of space there. And we think that's huge. And part of your host community agreement, when we went over it with Eamon, falls in line with a lot of what we want to do. A lot of the profits that we want to take from this business, we want to put back into communities of disproportionately impacted on the war on drugs, but also into Adams. Right? How can we best help out Adams? For one example, when we talked to the fire chief, he was very happy because he was saying that he was part-time. And we didn't know that. And we said, well, maybe we can get it to a place where Adams can get you full-time. You know, if those are the things. But at the end of the day, I think this is an important slide to just talk about the fact of what we can bring to Adams from a financial. But we want to work with, for me in particular, it's financial literacy. I'm a securities and exchange licensed. I'm an investment advisor. I have left that role. Actually, next week is my final week after 10 years in the business to do this 100% now that we're much closer to finalizing our deal. But one thing I talked to Eamon about, because there's a lot of information about drug rehab and helping folks find jobs and careers. I think that's really great, but I also talked to Eamon about working with creating financial literacy courses. because it's also about educating people on how money makes money for you. And sometimes we think of it as the most simple. When you have a lot of financial literacy, you might think those are simple, but most of us don't have that information. And that's a huge area where we want to create impact over a long time. Where over, let's say, the next 5 years, we want to say 200 people have gone through our program, here's how many people purchased a home or got their first credit card, and have sustainable and metrics and data and lasting impacts than a lot of the much smaller things that we've seen people try to do for their communities. And then with that, if there's any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, I have a couple on questions on the delivery.
Sure.
Now, you said delivery is gonna be company run?
Delivery
It's not gonna like lease out to,
cannot be leased out, sir. It has to be company run.
so, and the other is, it mentioned in one of the slides about delivery statewide. So
Correct.
you were gonna like, somebody calling from Boston and you're gonna run out?
So that's a great question, and I have a great answer for you. Under the delivery operator license model, you can have 2 warehouses. So for example, Adams would hopefully be one of our locations out of 6 Renfrew. And then we can go to Brookline, Massachusetts, get a host community agreement there and open up another warehouse there where it's almost like an Amazon distribution center where we create the product here. This would handle everything on the Berkshires in this side, Western Mass, as far as we can get. And then we'll have another, over time, we look to open up another warehouse on the opposite side of Worcester to handle the east coast of Massachusetts, and then from there. Correct. We can handle any city or town in Massachusetts that has approval for delivery, we can deliver it.
Question.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you for this presentation. You talked about social equity, okay? The Berkshires suffers from a huge drug issue, and a high percentage of babies born in our hospitals are born to drug-addicted mothers, okay? Could you educate us in terms of how the increased drug availability of cannabis is going to impact the drug situation, and how can, potentially based on your knowledge of how this works, how can we move the needle the other way to reduce the really toxic effect drug addiction to drugs have in this region?
Great question. That was something we did talk to the chief of police about.
Okay.
And his exact words were, cannabis is not my major problem right now. And there's other drugs, I would assume heroin, opioids.
Yep.
That's really taking over the communities out here. And he basically, I know he was joking when he said this, but he goes, I've never been to a call where someone did something, I think, what did he use the word, like murder or something, when they're high. He's like, most of the time, it's usually a much more stronger drug. I can tell you, I don't know much about that world when you talk about heroin and opioids, but I can tell you as someone who I was diagnosed with testicular cancer in 2014, and I had to go through chemo and through other stuff. Cannabis actually helped me. Cannabis actually helped me get my appetite back. It actually helped me with a lot with depression. I was going through a lot physically, mentally, and spiritually. You talk about things hitting the fan. I lost my job the same week I was diagnosed. And so for me, I was in a real bad place. And then I wasn't smoking weed at that time. I had stopped for quite some time. But after chemo and going through that, I couldn't get my appetite back. I'm someone, if everyone here knows me, I'm always hungry. That's what everyone's, do not say you're hungry again. But basically, I lost my appetite, I lost a lot of weight. And so for me, and for what I find a lot of people, and Garrett can speak to a lot about that too, it actually helps people, and that's what I can speak about, what it did for me medicinally. My mother's a huge proponent with a cream that helps her with her arthritis.
CBD?
CBDs, correct. and also with sleep apnea. I have a friend who told me he used to drink bottles of high-line liquor to try to go to sleep, until we talked to him about looking at certain strains that can help him more mellow down and sleep.
Yeah, the research shows clearly that CBD is very positive and there's no side effects whatsoever.
Correct, none, there's no THC, correct,
It's
there's
completely
no
compatible to
way.
the human receptor system.
Correct.
So, but when you're
In
talking,
the communities, I do love it. In the communities, the 18 states, I think, where recreational cannabis has been made legal, research recently has shown that actually opioid usage has gone down, specifically in those communities. And not going to change in the communities that don't have like a dispensary in their community, that opioid use has actually gone down, whereas communities that don't have a dispensary in the community, it actually has not changed. That's recent, that's probably in the last 6 months that data has come out.
okay.
Yeah, did you want to add anything?
Oh, yeah, to try to answer your question a little better. I'm a little more familiar with the medicinal marijuana side. I was a owner of a grassroots nonprofit, domestic corporations.
Garrett, I'm going to ask you to get closer to the microphone for the TV audience.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
I was a previous owner of a nonprofit in Rhode Island that helps support medical marijuana patients and caregivers to give them the resources and information they require. And I can speak firsthand about the healing power of marijuana. It absolutely helps people that have debilitating conditions and such. As far as helping drug addiction, recovery, things like that, it has been shown to have positive benefits. As far as in making it worse or more accessible, I don't really see that as something that would make anything worse. It really is the opposite of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carl, I'm going to ask, can we get a copy of the slides? that you
Absolutely,
even have the
absolutely,
presentation? Okay.
absolutely.
Because this is actually flashing at us, which is rather distracting, so I don't know if we can close the laptop and maybe that'll stop it?
There you go.
Okay,
You got it.
that's so much better.
No,
So-
of course, I can definitely send them a copy.
Okay, thank you. Joe, did you have?
Yeah, I have some questions. Hi.
How
Yes.
you doing, Joe?
They always hide me. But I'll pop out like a jack in the box once in a while, right? A few things. There's been ongoing studies that's been pro and con as marijuana is a gateway drug, and my belief it isn't. And another thing that you brought out early in your slides was something you mentioned about sustainable ecosystem. How does that work as far as your marijuana production and your sales? How do you create a sustainable ecosystem?
So basically, it's in two parts. One is the systems that we'll be using that are going to take up less energy,
Okay.
water usage. And then the other step is a business model that helps. It's more about the fact that we can go from seed all the way to sale at retail. So we're handling everything. There is no middleman in this for our business model.
And is it true, I've heard, when there's deliveries, there has to be 2 people within the delivery vehicle?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
So
right.
2 people in the vehicle. It's almost like I don't want to say it's an armored truck, but you know how there's the guy in the back that's separated from the person in the front, so there's that separation. One person goes out while someone always stays with the vehicle. There are body cameras worn, and they can only be delivered to a resident that lives in that house with an ID that matches that address. So if someone's coming in from New York visiting Adams, we cannot serve them. They have to be a resident of that property with a valid address on that license in order to deliver there.
Yeah,
And then the vehicles have GPS monitoring, 2-way radios. There's a check-in every 15 or 20 minutes. There's a lot of security that goes behind that, correct?
You really did give some rosy numbers about profit margins and money to be made in this business, but it's in its infancy.
Correct.
In time, do you feel that, like other things, there'll be a saturation point where, it's time to go back, and then the profits will be lessened as time goes on, and will the people that are entrepreneurs in this business feel that it's a time they shouldn't get into it, because right now is the time to get into it, because, it's it's a burgeoning industry.
Yeah, parity will come to the cannabis business in Massachusetts, like it's come in every state, but the true benefit of Massachusetts being different than Colorado, California, is that you're limited to a certain amount of square feet any one license can do.
Yeah.
California, I can buy 26 acres and start growing in it. Now, if I'm flooding the market, prices drop.
Right.
Massachusetts, you can only have 100,000 square feet per license. So Curaleaf, one of the largest cannabis companies in the world, they can only have 100,000 square feet of canopy space in Massachusetts.
Right.
So it's not necessarily leveling the playing field, but they can't exploit it right now like they can in California. And for our business model, the fact that we were getting in as where we are now to our benefit is that over time we hope to reduce our cost per pound so that when parity does come, even at $2,500, we're still making profitable. We're still very profitable.
And as our chairman had to leave because the federal government sees marijuana as an illegal substance.
Schedule 1.
You're right. And so that puts the banking business in marijuana in a different place.
Correct.
And how do you foresee ushering your monies, where to put them, how to put them? I think in time, the banks will allow you to be, federally insured banks, but what happens now?
So right now, we're happy to be working with GFA Credit Union. They are the first credit union in Massachusetts to open up a recreational cannabis banking system. And we've opened up our ancillary account, that's for ownership of the property and that we'll be receiving rent from a cannabis company. And we're in the process right now of opening up our Canaco banking account with them. To your point, very, very expensive to have these banking accounts.
A lot of money changes hands.
Yes, but they offer, I will say this about GFA, there's more and more banks coming online in Massachusetts, but one of the biggest reasons we went with GFA is because they offer, if Garrett and Billy and myself are going to be employees as well, right? The moment Billy goes to buy a car and has to say he gets his money from Mota and it's cannabis, that car, he might not even get credit for that car because of that. What GFA does is they understand those roadblocks that people in our industry are going through. They offer car loans, personal loans, home loans, home lines of equity. And one of the biggest things that had me and Tina, who is the president of GFA, when she did the interview with me, she said another big thing that we do here are financial literacy courses. And when she said that, I told her, like I said, I have goosebumps right now, but please tell me more. She goes, when I took over his role as president, one of the first things I said was, we're going to have a market to all these employees. We're a bank. We want people getting their houses and loans and everything. Why don't we do seminars so that employers can offer their employees these classes and resources? She had said to me, she goes, I just wish more people would take advantage of them. So I told her I got some great ideas that'll help work because that's exactly what we're trying to do. So there's a lot of banks out there right now, and to your point, once our government can finally get something through that'll allow that, you'll see a lot more people in the business because now they can go through traditional lending and banking. But right now, you're speaking to someone, we met Garrett in 2014. And we try to get into the medical side. Like he said, he ran a medical facility out in Rhode Island. But Massachusetts didn't have the same business model as Rhode Island, so it didn't work for us here. So we just went back to the drawing board. And then when this came out here, I spoke to Billy February of 2020. And it's 2 years later that we're finally looking at our property, so it's very difficult.
And just not to prolong it, because we have a full agenda, I think that what you bought is advantageous because the shell and everything is there. I mean, that's going to save you time and money, and because what you got, it's pretty good. I don't know much of. I know a lot about it because I'm working with Art. I don't know if you met Art Bablion. Yeah. And, you know, it's a complicated business.
Absolutely.
Yep, and I have to say, I say it to everybody that comes in, when I was running for selectman 9 years ago, I knew that marijuana, because the push was going, and so, you know, I brought it up, and people say, don't mention marijuana, you won't get elected, you won't get elected, you know? So I kept mentioning it, and we were the first in the county, prior to Jay, our administrator, coming, to reach out after it was the vote from Massachusetts came in legalizing it. And we had interest, and, you know, people come in, and, you know, we had one person, I'm not gonna mention the company's name, you know, they put a building up, they put money in it, and never came. And everybody's kinda hopscotched along, and it's been a difficult roadblock for us for some reason. And I'm glad to see people of your caliber. You had a very interesting presentation. And lastly, I'll have to say, I went to the original Woodstock with that lawyer right there. So, yeah. So
We ran into my father, he was there.
yeah, okay. But anyways, you know, best of luck, and if we can do anything,
Thank you so much.
you know, to bring you along, please do so, because that revenue really helps.
Thank you.
Really, it's gonna really help us.
It does, I think on that point, just in year one, with Carl and Billy's projections, and of course, everything can change, just so our viewers at home understand, they're projecting, if their numbers hold, $333,000 payment pursuant to the host community agreement that we're looking at with them. Every year for Chapter 90, which is our road money, $265,000, give or take. So the opportunity for the town of Adams to be able to benefit from these businesses that come in, know what they're doing, know the market, you know, you're gonna hear from Art next. We may have been delayed, and it was a frustration I had too for this exact purpose, the revenue generating. But I would say that if these folks come in, they've chosen Adams, I think the community has an opportunity to benefit from that revenue stream that we've sat back, and me as town administrator have been frustrated to watch these other communities be able, we've just put $2 million into our budget from the marijuana host community agreement and been able to reduce the tax rate. We can't do that, and it frustrates me this time of year, every year, that we can't. So it just shows you where the value is in this for the community. Also, too, I just have the floor, this is one of the reasons why, Joe, if you remember 2 weeks ago, we talked about the zoning changes, because in not just these folks, but some of the other folks have mentioned that delivery model without doing retail, walk-up retail. But the way that our zoning is drafted right now, we don't think we can allow them to do that. So that's why Eamon wanted, and Eamon, you can come up and just give us a quick update on that at all, because it does affect, it'll probably affect Art too. That's one of the reasons why we look at it. We don't want our own zoning to prohibit these guys from being able to come to Adams and open the business.
Yeah, I'll just say, in looking at the zoning, there's a lot of conflicting information. Some of it seems to support the idea of delivery, some seems to kind of prohibit it. So I've been, you know, as I talked to the board last time I was up here, just been working on updating that bylaw and trying to make everything, all the language kind of jive together to allow for delivery and allow for these two new types of licenses, the delivery operator and the courier license, that's the other one, right? Courier type license.
That is a license, but not.
Well, not what you're pursuing,
Yeah,
but
correct.
it's-
There's another license for it's like a DoorDash model.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I've been trying to work so we can get that, you know, get that allowed in town. It's gonna take some steps, you know, obviously with the planning board and going to town meeting and things. Still a long road ahead of us, but it's something I think would be good, and just to, you know, just to keep us open, available for business and competitive overall.
Well, if I may, and I won't take too much time, just to piggyback what he said, obviously we read the bylaws.
Yeah.
You guys have it right. You guys wrote down the exact terminology for what a retail license is. Delivery operator, I'm gonna assume, was not available when you guys did this.
Correct.
That's what's
So
right.
So I think that's
Yeah.
where the biggest thing
It
is.
was 2017 when the bylaw started to be written. It was, I think, finalized in 2018, and it was somewhat before the CCC really
Yeah,
had
exactly, yeah,
anything
exactly.
set in stone. So we were just trying to get something in place to,
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
guys had it right the first time.
and it was a model that everyone else in the county
License
used.
was coming down, right?
But yeah, so good. David, is there anything else? I saw you nodding your head a lot, so you seem to be in agreement? Okay. And you can represent Ed, from his time in Woodstock? No, it comes up with every presentation.
You got 3 lawyers in the room tonight.
That's true. Anything else for?
Just thank you again for your time, and thank you for having us here. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Billy, thank you for your work at Moderna and compliance and very important work.
I have the vial on my bookcase, Billy. I told you that last time we met.
Yep. Thank you. All right. So, item B under new business is an update from LC Squared. So Art Babian is here. If you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Art Gavine, founder,
Gavine,
CEO of LC Square.
But I'm going to give you an update, though, because you're the workhorse and the racehorse in this bunch.
Yeah.
You're the guy that started in Adams. You saw the value in Adams. You came in and met me, I think, my first week here, and you've just been consistent on Adams the entire time. So, it's great to welcome new companies in,
Yeah.
but I think it's important for us to thank you for just sticking with Adams. COVID was not kind to you.
Yeah, we obviously, it's been a tough year, thanks,
Yeah,
Dave, but
yeah.
it's great to see people coming in, like-minded people and trying to come into Adams, so it's really appreciated. Because this community needs more businesses, more jobs, et cetera. Good to see everybody in good health. It's been a roller coaster couple of years. But even the darkest nights come to an end. So we're here without masks and in good health. I'm not going to take too much time today. I'll just provide an update on where we are. Obviously, there's been a lot of communications between fire chiefs and police and building inspectors and Jay and Donna, but I haven't been in front of a board for a while. So, Joe, you're hiding. I
know,
saw
right?
you yesterday. Thanks
Do
for
you
stopping by.
have a presentation?
I don't, no.
If not, can we
Yeah.
tilt that so that you can see Joe and Joe can see you?
And I remember the
Because
day when I was here standing and talking just like you guys were, and now a couple
Thank
of
you,
years
gentlemen.
fast forward.
Man, white on Pat's
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. Well, because it's just really nice to see art in person
And
and
I
not
can see it,
on
I can see it,
screen,
yeah, I can see
right?
it. Perfect.
We can see Joe finally.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's no longer hiding.
So like I said, I don't know, it's been probably 2 years now since I stood here and kind of did the similar presentation, and 2 years fast forward, I'm here to provide some good updates, some good news. We are at the final stretch with our phase 1. We had submitted for a final inspection with CCC. We're hoping to cut the ribbon sometime in April. Depending on the timelines of CCC, obviously it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I'm really hoping April is going to be the month where we can do what we planned to do a couple of years ago. But we are on track. Equipment is rolling in. Joe, you were on site yesterday. You saw how things are progressing. There's a lot of action happening. So that's where we are on phase 1. In terms of phase 1, in terms of employment, there's some good news on that side. We have about 26 open positions for just phase 1. We're going to do a job fair in the first week or second week of April. We're going to be reaching out to Veterans Affairs. We're going to be reaching out, and while I have the platform to speak with the residents of Adams and surrounding towns, this is the opportunity. We're welcoming, there's going to be about 26 jobs from anywhere from machine operators to inventory managers to dishwashers to cook associates and everything else that comes into running a product manufacturing facility. And we're going to do a job fair, and we would be glad to see people come in and apply and take those positions, and especially for people around Adams. That's why we're here. Previously, there was a mention that it feels right being in Adams. Well, I can sign under that because we've been on this path. We've been on this road, and it's been just great. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes multiple villages to get something like that going. I can't express my gratitude to all the guidance and help we were getting from chief of police to fire chief to everybody's here. to just residents, to local contractors. Burke Constructions has been really great with us. They've been doing a lot of work for us and working with us, and many other local, smaller guys that have been engaged with us in the beginning and continue to deliver. Because at the end of the day, we have plans, we have everything on the paper. It comes down to the guys with people, hands on the tools and doing the job and finishing the build out so we can do what we've been planning to do. So that's where we are in phase one. Like I said, we're gonna hope to cut the ribbon in April. That comes with 26 jobs. Phase two, which is shortly right after, we're probably, target dates right now are finalizing, but it's probably gonna be sometimes towards the end of May, where we're gonna be going for a final with CCC. Phase two will produce another at least 35 full-time jobs. There'll be some part-time jobs during a specific cycle of the grow. And we're hoping that comes very shortly after. I have all the reasons to believe, based on the project plans and deliverables that we have, that we're gonna hit that date, somewhere between May and June. The biggest hassle, right now, the biggest problem, that's what's keeping me up at night, is lead times for all of this equipment and everything that comes, with the construction. One of the things that we're struggling with, and I wanted to bring it to the board today, is a transformer with National Grid. We've been promised, the transformer was supposed to be on site in October. It's been delayed all this months. It was supposed to happen this week. I received an email this morning that it's not happening. And we're being told that it's going to happen in the first week of April, but that's one item that is, our hands are tied. There's just not much we can do. I do have a plan B. I don't want to really go into that. And I really hope that National Grid will come through and put the transformer on site so we can cut the ribbon as planned. The last thing, as I mentioned to our caseworker at National Grid today, is I don't want to be holding up all these jobs just because we don't have a transformer on site, because there's a lot of effort went in over the past 18 months. A lot of people had to put hard work in, and it would be just really unpleasant to see that being held up by just one small item, which we've actually submitted a request back in June. So, and we were told that we will have it on site in November, but again, we're working with them and we've been very patient. But I really hope that the new date that's set today, which is first week of April, really comes through.
What technically is the service address there in Holland?
173 Holland.
173?
Yeah, you never gave me the...
As you left, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, could you give Jay the number?
I'll email tonight our case number.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate it.
I said that, and I think you know her well, Joanne DeRose.
Yep, that's what I was just writing down. Yeah.
Because she can get their ear, I think.
Yes.
And that's unacceptable.
It is.
And we had done all that underground plumbing is done and inspected. All we need is just transformer to be dropped and turned live. Everything else is done, right? And inspected and passed. So I'll email the case number, and we'll appreciate any help we can get. All we're asking for is for them to stick on the date that they promised to be delivered, because there's just everything else ties to that. So these are the updates. I don't know if there are any questions, comments. I'll open it up. Obviously, I just wanted to give a quick update on where we are. But and more importantly, to use this time maybe to get the citizens of Adams that jobs are coming, and we're really looking forward and encouraging people to apply, and we're looking forward to...
Or do you have a webpage or anything where we can direct people?
Yeah, so we're putting together specifically for where people can go and actually apply online. I will share the link as well. Mm-hmm. And we're reaching out to Berkshire Jobs, we're reaching out to Rainbow Times, we're reaching out to Veterans Affairs. Mm-hmm. We encourage people, former drug conviction veterans, to come and apply. We're here to provide jobs. We're here to make an impact on this community, as we've all planned in the beginning, right? So this is the time where it's coming to live, and we'll be our arms are wide open for local residents, and we will provide trainings for. There'll be different types of jobs, some specific skill requirements. Some people that will provide training Most will provide training. For example, we have some openings as a chocolatier. We will provide training on how to use the equipment, how to do all that, and so we're encouraging people to apply. Don't pay attention to what skills you currently have. If you have the right work ethic, right character, we'll be welcoming you.
Art, I would make sure that you also post the jobs with Mass Hire Berkshire Career Center. It's a free service.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then if you could just remind us what was covered in Phase 1 and the square footage that you're using. And
Sure. So Phase 1 is a product manufacturing, which is about total square footage, about 15,000 square feet. That's where we're going to be making all the edibles, chocolate bars, gummy bears, stuff like that, edible goods. That's Phase 1. Phase 2 is the cultivation, which is 20,000 square feet, which, like I said, we're targeting shortly after. I just, all day on site today, we're looking good. Electrical stuff is moving, panels are coming in, and so, yeah, I have good reasons to believe that we're a couple months away from Phase 2. So.
thank you for just that reminder. That space that you have has been a huge undertaking, and I knew that the square footage was rather large, and I wanted to remind people that that might be what has been taking so much time.
Yeah, and plus, the COVID, obviously, we had to take a little backseat, and then, it's total square footage is about 40,000 square feet, and as a true story, when we were purchasing a building, there was a section in the back that I didn't know existed, because we couldn't even get in there, right? So there was a lot of just cleaning it. We basically took everything down, except for the brick walls. And from brand new roof to siding to everything inside, when you do it on a commercial level, at that size, it's not building a single family, so for sure. But, yeah.
Any questions for Art?
No, I would just like to say, when Art came in front of us, I think I have a good feel for people, and I knew that your sincerity would bring you through, and you certainly have done a lot of work down there. I mean, I've stopped in now and then a few times. You weren't there, but I was happy that you were there, and it's unbelievable how much work has been undertaken there. And yeah.
Thank you. It's,
And another thing that I had asked you, you started to find distributors, working on that?
Yeah, we do have multiple pre-sales agreements already signed with retails. As current landscape of the cannabis market in Massachusetts, distribution is not necessarily a problem yet.
Okay.
There's a higher demand, there are supplies available. That time will come where the true competition comes up and people start, but it's, we're focusing on doing the things the right way. We've talked about it yesterday, it's about quality rather than quantity.
Yeah.
And we're entering market with that in mind, and when competition comes, we want fair competition. It will help us get better.
Yeah, and I was interested when you told me that an independent scientist comes in to look
test
at
labs.
Test labs, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're independently owned.
Right, and they can go to any plant they want and pick
can
it,
test,
look at. Yeah.
Each batch gets tested for profiles of things. So that's one way. That's one main reason why legal cannabis is controlled, and there are a lot of regulations goes into what you can versus cannot use, et cetera. So, yeah, it's the medical labs exactly ensure that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, once again, you've certainly lived up to your expectations. And having lived here my whole life, we get people that want to come in and develop, but it takes too long. There's always these holdups, and I mean, it's been continual since I've been in the Selectmen, living here my whole life. You get people that sign contracts, and their hearts are there, but sometimes the money isn't there, and they stall, and and then the people in Adams go buy places and don't even think that they're going to be developed. They're just like walk by. And I won't mention names, but I think us as a board know that that's been a situation, and it hurts your downtown. But anyways,
Joe, I appreciate the credit, but I really, it's not really me, it's all the people who actually
Yeah.
do the jobs and you know, we were talking today with some of the plumbers and electricians,
Yeah.
and I said, guys, I'm really grateful, because without you, we don't exist.
Yeah.
So you know, I appreciate the good words, but I'd like to pass that on to all the people who are at the facility yesterday, today, and will be, you know, in coming days and working with us, and this is a community effort. This is, I wouldn't be able to do nothing without all these
that's
people.
an admirable
So
statement.
I appreciate that. Good to see everybody. And unless there are any
Yeah,
questions,
Rick or Howard, anything?
No questions?
No questions.
Okay,
look forward to seeing you at the ribbon cutting ceremony.
yeah.
So
We'll bring the
hopefully-
scissors and the ribbon,
There
you
go.
just let us
Perfect.
know when.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm going to go walk them out, Christine.
Great, yep.
Yeah,
And then we can welcome John back to the table,
take a
and he can take the meeting on.
short break.
Where did he go? I was like, where did he go? Okay. Do you want to take a 5-minute recess? What did I do? I was like,
That 5-minute recess is good.
okay, we'll take a 5-minute recess to kind of break all this down. Thanks.
Next on the agenda, still under new business, is the change of alcohol manager application. Anna Leaper Incorporated, doing business as O'Geary's Package Store, 60 Commercial Street, Adams, from Jacob Brissett to Robert Walker. The gentlemen, please step up to the podium. Whoever's going to speak, and state your names and your association.
My name is Robert Walker, and I've been working at the establishment for 17 years now. And my boss, Joe.
I'm working for my family business. My name is Jay. How are you guys?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing all right.
Doing well. So does the licensing subcommittee have anything to add to this? Or?
It looks straightforward. Were you able to review?
I looked at it, it looked fine to me.
There's a corporate vote authorizing the change of manager.
Okay.
Fairly straightforward.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
I see the quarry application, has the quarry come back?
Yeah.
Do we know?
Yeah.
Everything obviously was fine?
Yeah.
Anything else? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the change of alcohol manager application for Anna LaCour.
Yeah.
Maybe, all right.
Yeah.
Incorporated, doing business as O'Geary's Package Store, 60 Commercial Street, from Jacob Brissett to Robert Walker.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We have a motion by Christine. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rick. How do you say that again?
I think it's Anna LaCour.
Amicus
Anna LaCour, okay.
is my.
Thank you.
It's a little complicated, but
We'll get it.
I was adding some extra syllables in there, I'm sorry.
My cousin sister name.
Is there anything you'd like to add before we vote?
no.
You good? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed,
Well,
none?
thank you very much.
Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
The next item on the agenda is, under new business, is the designation of local farmland of importance. We did have a presentation by Eamon at the last meeting. He indicated that he needed some time to do some more investigation. However, member Joe did indicate he would like to have it added to the agenda, so I'll hand it over to Joe.
Yeah, well, I personally feel that, a decision needs to be made, and I think what has been going on as far as worrying about developable land, I don't see how this in any way can stop development of land. It's only giving you farmland of importance. For instance, most of our farmland is protected right now, and a person who hasn't protected land, and I'm not going to make examples, but I would like to, if they decide to get out of the business and develop their land, it's their option if they want to put housing on it, or if they've been generational farmers, they might want to protect their property and make sure that it stays in agricultural use. So I don't see, unless somebody can tell me how designating local farmland of importance can impede development. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Eamon?
Well, yeah, it is up to the landowner if, if we were to designate the farmland of local importance. It doesn't change anything right off the bat. It could make it a little bit more, could make it, I guess, more likely that a farmer would choose to preserve their land through a deed restriction.
Right.
So in that way, it could lead to more undevelopable land.
Yeah, but let's put it this way, you have a right to do with your property when you're the owner. I mean, if you're a generational farmer and you can't farm anymore because, you don't have the family members and it's not profitable to you, but you love the land that you farm for so long and you got such a deep affinity for it, you might want to just put it into protection. So I don't see it because the person has the option in this developable stuff. I don't see it. I don't see it as an impediment whatsoever to it. I mean, that's just my feel. If somebody can explain to me how it can be, what you just said, I mean.
It creates more of an incentive for them to do so. But you're right, I mean, anybody at any moment could go to the registry of deeds and file a deed restriction on the property, at any moment and say, they're gonna permanently restrict development on that land. But this does create a little bit more of an incentive for people because it gives them access to those federal preservation dollars that are out there to protect their farmland. So it incentivizes it, like I said.
I don't know.
And some, we have land now in Adams that entered into those protected things that can never be used for anything else.
That's right. The agricultural preservation,
So even
conservation
if the
restriction.
family dies off and the land is sold, it can only be used as farmland.
Right, that's right. I just said that. That's a lot of protective land.
That was the concern, because there is so much of that land in Adams.
Right, but once again,
Yeah, there's already, I think, a little over 1,000 acres that's preserved that way.
Yeah.
It's like 1,077 acres or something.
but with protection of property like that comes environment that protects our watersheds, protects, wildlife, habitat, and things like that. So there's many clear-cut advantages of putting land in protection to keep, as you can see with what's going on in this world, the climate has become front and center to make the planet, and it's, you can go that far now and say that, because I think the disbelievers that think there's no climate change, I don't think there's many left anymore. They might say it, but I think, if you know science, as I think I know a little bit about ecosystems and things, you can't live without them. And I just think there's been some talk back and forth about, how we want to save land for, this does nothing. This just shows you where you have importance. I mean, we put up solar panels because it was the right to do so on some of the most prime land, soils in this town, up on East Road. So I think there's been some banter back and forth among people that, that want to put the kibosh on this. And that's just, I'm just saying that, I always talk the way I want to talk. So I think there's been some underlying things, but I still don't believe that designating local farmland of importance, it just gives you an idea where your land is, and if a person owns land, and I'll say it for the last time, they want to make more money, and the land is their retirement or whatever it is, they can do what they want with it. So if they're not dear to their land, and they can get more for developments for lots, they'll do it. And you can't stop them, even if it's prime land. But you have to look at people that own all these properties who've worked their whole life and passed on generations of farmland. If they want to keep it, they have the right to do that too. So to me, it's just whatever that person wants to do. A private landowner can do what they want with their property within zoning and other rights that go along with the use of property. So once again, I just don't, and I haven't been convinced from what I heard that, this will impede development in Adams. I just don't see it. So that's the last I'm going to say. I don't want to belabor it.
So at the last meeting, Eamon provided us with an overview, right? And you were going to come back to us with any additional information you may have. I don't understand,
Yeah, I don't really have much new additional.
Not tonight,
information
right?
at this time, yeah.
Right, so you're indicating that there's people against it, and there's the underlying this and that, and you're not afraid of what to say, so who's against this?
Well, I mean, why has it taken so long, John?
We had a meeting like 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Oh, no, that's been over a month or better. This gentleman has emailed me a number of times, what's going on? And I email him back, I'm there, we're talking about it. And he says, you want me to come back? I said, no. And I said, I'm going to try to get it through. And I don't know, I get frustrated. That's all. I'm just saying I get frustrated because it seems things that I put forward, they take a lot longer to get through the pipeline than other things. And, well, you laugh at it, but
I'm not laughing, I'm just saying that, you know, speak the truth, right? What is the truth? If you got information that states that things you bring forward take longer because of,
Right.
well, you know, then bring forward the.
all you gotta do is look at the timeline, how long this is taking, John. And you've been the one that's brought it up each time where we gotta look out for development.
It must be me that's holding this up, but I thought was it the last meeting, or am I just off? It was 2 meetings
It
ago.
was 6 weeks ago, we had a workshop
Yes,
on it.
right.
Workshop, and then-
2 weeks ago, there was a meeting.
Right, 2 weeks ago, which I'm right on that you went over it, and you indicated you were going to look more into it. The board agreed, no one said no.
I didn't say no.
Exactly, so
Right.
that's why we are still waiting for Eamon to come back with any additional information. That's why we're where we are today.
I thought there was, wasn't there a specific question from someone that required Eamon to go back?
Correct.
Because I'll tell you, 2 weeks ago, I thought, Ann and I were under the mindset that the board was going to approve it 2 weeks ago. But if I recall correctly, and I could be misspeaking, I thought someone had a question, which Eamon said, I got to look into that, but I don't remember exactly what it.
The reason is I spoke, you know, and I'm not putting Eamon on the spot. He's doing a hell of a job for the town, but I went up there and he says, I don't see any problem. I'm going to say that it should go forward. You said that to me, right? Right. And then all of a sudden, it's just, you know, it stalled. And you're doing a good job. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you said to me that, you know, I think there's no problem with it.
So
And then
this-
it was brought up about development.
So again, it was 2 weeks ago that we asked him, it might have been, wasn't
Okay,
about
let's
tax?
not get in an argument,
About
John.
chapter 61,
Yeah.
according to the minutes.
Chapter, so we had a
About
question,
taxes.
and I think the board, we had a
Well, what was
good
the question?
discussion.
I haven't
I
heard
just
the
said, according to
question.
the minutes, it says that there was a question about the chapter 61 and whether or not the land would be permanently protected or not, which would reduce the tax revenue. Again, I was
Yeah.
not here at the meeting. so I'm
Chapter
just
61
reading
has to
them.
do with logging. It doesn't have anything to do with
Okay.
that. This, chapter 61, 61A,
Well,
those are
61
different.
61 reduces the tax revenue.
Right, of course it
without
does. Yeah,
permanently-
right.
And you
Yeah.
and I agree, I remember that, because I mentioned that it would reduce the taxes, because we've had that issue. But you indicated because of the climate change, we kind of had we kind of
Right,
agreed,
yeah,
yeah,
once
it's
again,
good, it's good there, and it's, yeah, you have less taxes, but it's good for the environment.
Well,
So-
there's no need to banter back and
All right,
forth, and I'm not going to get into that anymore.
All right, move on to the next item.
So I would like to make a motion that we designate of local farmland of importance. I don't know what I have to designate to how to accept the program, I guess would be the proper way of putting it. Does anybody have a way that I should state it to get, be in that farmland trust program? I mean, it's going to come to a vote. I mean, I don't want to leave here saying, well, we don't know if we want to do it. So we have, as a board, have to come to a conclusion, yes or no. So how would I state a motion to be included in the farmland trust?
I think it would be to adopt the designation.
Okay.
That would be the correct.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the designation of local farmland of importance. And I'd like to add with it, there's no cost to the town. It just tells you maps that have been already done about soil types within the town of Adams and throughout the whole state of Massachusetts and throughout the whole country. They have these soil sample tests. And so there's no money involved with it. And so it's just letting people know, that landowners, what their land has for potential for use of farmland.
Okay, we have a motion by Joe, do we have a second?
I have a question.
We need to have a second.
All right, I'll second.
Second by Rick. Okay, the reason I'm going to vote no is I agree with the program. I just asked a question at the last meeting in regards to taxes, right? Because there's a lot of individuals, it's up to them. They sell their land to the state, farmers a lot of times, and the state takes that land, and the taxes we were receiving is reduced dramatically when we get the payment back from the state. So it does impact us financially, right? So I think the last meeting, we kind of looked both good and bad, but I just had a question for you, and you were going to get back to us, and then we would take care of that, right?
Yeah, I'd like to more fully understand those implications. Yeah.
All right, so that's just the reason I would vote no. I am for the program, I just want to make sure you...
Well, you're not for the program, John, if you're going to vote no, so you can't be for
I
the
just
program.
indicated what I had to say.
Yeah,
That I'm
fine.
against it, I'm not against the, no, I'm against the vote this evening, I'll put it that way, because I'd like to have my answer to my question, and then I'll vote when it comes up on the agenda in the future.
May I ask to the chair, how much is it worth for clean water, clean air, productive farmland? How important is that? Give me a money value on that compared to taxes.
You don't need to.
Don't need
put that
to?
on there, because I said I agree with the program.
Oh.
I had a question.
Okay, all right, that's it. I just wanted to ask you.
We, as a board, agreed, we would give him time to answer.
Okay, yep.
And it's in the, that's what we agreed to as a board. No one said no, and then here we are today for some reason. So I'm waiting for my answer, and then if the vote's in the affirmative today, then so be it. But that's great. I'm just saying my reason, so people know why I vote no.
I'll also just add too, that Eamon and I actually chatted today about his workload, and we are all at the point, not just Eamon, but Adams is very busy right now. We have a lot of projects going on. Eamon's still transitioning and mentoring with Donna. So this is on his agenda list, but there's other things that he's trying. He meets with all the marijuana folks coming in. He's looking at the bylaws. So from our work side, it's on his to-do list. It's just, there's other stuff that Eamon's doing right now.
Yeah,
and in
like
fact,
I said, I like Eamon. I think he's doing a good job.
doing a great job. I agree, Joe.
Okay, Howard, you had a question?
Well, yeah, and a question and comment. Well, there's no question that climate change and land use is directly related. So I love the idea of setting aside land so that we could have photosynthesis and we could do all the carbon sequestration that needs to be done to reduce the rate of climate change. That said, the reason we need this information is because it'd be irresponsible of this board to make a decision that's going to fiscally hurt this town without knowing what we're signing up for. So, Joe, I want to tell you, I agree violently with you on the nature and the severity of climate change.
Yeah.
But we have to have this information about what is this going to do to the budget of the town, the revenue side, okay?
Yeah.
And so I definitely want to support getting land set aside so that nature can sequester carbon, in the whole hydrological cycle. I totally get that. But we need to understand when the federal government gets involved, there's unintended consequences if we're naive about passing this before we know what the consequences are. Okay, I need to know the trade-off, okay?
Yeah.
So that's why, until I have that information, I can't really support this particular initiative in affecting climate change. And it has nothing to do with my belief in climate change. I drive a Prius, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right, any more discussion?
I'll just say that when we had the workshop in January, the gentleman who presented to us also had a document from Williamstown that inventoried all of the farmland of local importance for Williamstown, and that's something I thought that we would see before we moved forward with the designation.
Okay.
And we haven't seen it yet, so I'm not...
Sheffield also is in the program, and I think since 6 weeks, we've held this up, that the others have joined, and...
Do you have an inventory that you can actually produce?
No, I don't.
That would be helpful?
No, I don't have one.
Okay.
Say it right out, no.
Because I think that would be helpful for the discussion and to learn more, and then we would know, I mean, I'm only going on the minutes, because again, it couldn't
Right.
be.
No, I see, Christine, there's no problem. I just had a feeling, of course, this is going to go down in flames when I brought it up, and it's taken so long.
But only
because
at
there's
this
a lot
evening.
Because there's always a lot of back and forth behind the scenes in any board, so, that's That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't-
Because Williamstown and Sheffield, they're pretty well-versed communities with people that know the environment and know that how important farmland is. And when you start talking money, once again, I'm gonna say it for the last time, give me a price on, as was mentioned, and a person who owns land, it can be the most important soil of importance in the whole state. They can sell it because it's theirs. So, you know, I'm done talking about it, and I put up a motion, there's been no second.
Yes, there has been a second.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Rick second.
Yeah, right, for discussion.
Just to clarify, that again, that it's been all in public meetings, that the question I asked was in public meeting. The minutes that Christine referenced were a public meeting, so nothing to me in regards to this discussion has been not done during public discussion. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye?
We have one, opposed? No?
No.
No.
Any abstentions? One in favor, four opposed. Next, we have the nomination of Inspector of Animals, Parking Animal Control Officer Kim Whittick. And Jay, I believe we received this form from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Annual appointment required by DAR. Kim Whittick, who's our animal control officer, she's the annual appointee. This isn't the normal course.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Kim Whittick has been doing an excellent job, and I'd like to nomination of Inspector of Animals, Parking, Animal Control Officer to Kim Whittick. And I don't know, why would, let's see, would parking be involved with inspection of animals? That's just an ancillary job that she does. Why is that in there?
I don't know.
Because that's nothing to do with animals.
So it's just her title, because she is the parking and animal control officer. That's her position.
Okay,
So
so
Deb
that's
just,
because it's her position, all right.
yep.
All right, we have a motion by Joe. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. The last item on the new business this evening is a reserve fund transfer request from the Public Works account, highway equipment,
Same things that are up on the screen.
for a Ford F-550 one-ton dump and plow truck for the amount of $80,000. Jay?
I'm just going to read my letter here, John, and then we can discuss. On the screen are photos I took of the truck, and then I'm passing around color photographs as well so that you can look at. We're seeking funding to immediately replace a 2008 Ford one-ton dump truck. We're looking to purchase a 2022 Ford F-550 one-ton dump body equipped for plowing to replace an older identical truck that now needs to be taken out of service as soon as possible. Truck number 20 is a 2008 one-ton dump body, has 80,000 plus miles. It now has suffered from a cracked frame, structural rot, and electrical harness failure. The mechanics have repaired the vehicle to keep it in service. However, those repairs are not sustainable, and the vehicle will not meet motor vehicle safety inspection standards at its July inspection. So the vehicle will have to come out of service effective sometime in July. The electrical harness is no longer available as a replacement part, and our mechanics have manually spliced the harness twice. And this type of truck is the backbone of the DPW fleet. We have 5 of them in service, including Truck 20, and it's used year-round for a variety of municipal public works services. This type of truck is not eligible under the Chapter 90 program, unfortunately. We have been hoping to fund the purchase of a replacement truck in the normal course as part of the fiscal year 23 capital program. We expected to budget about $90,000 for that truck. However, MHQ, which is out of Oxford, Mass., they're the large municipal car dealer there, they told us that Ford was announcing the reduction of production, particularly of municipal vehicles, and it was going to take a minimum of 12 months from the time that we placed the order, which presumably would be sometime in July after a town meeting approved our budget. It took about 8 months to get our new police cruiser that we ordered also in July of last year. So we know that there are supply chain delays, and we assumed that we are not going to get this truck for a minimum of a year. In light of the fact that truck 20 will not pass inspection, we would be down one vehicle. So that's why we decided to take this approach in order to do that. The good news is that a suitable replacement truck is immediately available on the state bid list at a dealer in Plymouth, Mass., and it fits the exact specifications for the town's need and fleet, including the body color. The cost of the truck is less than the previous quote. The dealer is holding the truck for the town pending formal process, which is tonight and tomorrow. If the board will approve it tonight, we'll move forward to Finance Committee approval for tomorrow. And we're asking for $80,000 to be transferred from the reserve fund to immediately purchase the truck while it's available. You'll see that on here, the base vehicle purchase price is $78,000 and change, and then just rounding up to 80 to make it a round number for the request. It's about $1,323 for registration, lettering, and contingency. The current reserve fund balance is at $142. We annually budget $175. That reduction was due to the elevator repair of approximately $33,000. That would leave a balance after proposed transfer of $62,000. You'll see in the pictures in front of you, as well as on the monitor up here, the rot is throughout the course of the truck. I'm pleased to say this is one of only 3 trucks that remain in the fleet that don't have the corrosion control measures placed on them. We do underbody coating, and we have front and rear mud flaps and wheel well covers on them. So the other types of fleet, the town was keeping up with this part of the fleet. So this is one of the older 1-ton dump trucks still in service that's just reached the end of its service life. You'll see the outer rocker panel corner post is rotted along with the inner rockers as well. But I assure you that the rest of that 1-ton dump truck body fleet is not in that condition. You'd actually be able to see the difference with the corrosion control places that we've put in place. That right there is the worst. That's the front right passenger side frame rail. That is just, as you can see, it's a large rot hole. So this isn't necessarily the way that I wanted to do it, but I don't feel as though we have much of a choice in order to keep the fleet numbers where it needs to be for adequate coverage throughout the town. And we're lucky that there's a truck on the lot that we could get within a short period of time. Whether we decide to keep the money in the capital budget for another truck for DPW or move it later is for, later conversation. That's the update on that.
Okay, questions for Jay?
Yeah, I have some questions. Now, this came out of the blue, like just 3 days ago or so. And so all this rust and all this stuff happened within the last 3 days?
No.
So, well then, why is it, coming up? I really personally feel, and you mentioned it, that should be in the town budget and under their heading.
It is.
It isn't, because it's coming from reserve.
So, excuse me, I just misspoke.
Okay.
It should be. I anticipated truck 1 to last longer. And I had asked the guy, stretch that out for as long as you can. We should have bought a truck last year, and we should have bought a truck in the capital budget in 20, but we couldn't afford it. So they've stretched this for as long as we can. You can see a new starter and right there. So the other day, they were underneath the truck, and the rust hole got bigger and bigger, and they've tried to patch it, and they've tried, frankly, to keep it going and not have to ask me for a truck. Because I asked that question. I said, come on, guys, this has been a while, and they knew it. But they're trying to make our assets last longer. Adam Meswar, who's our assistant mechanic, I'm not afraid to point him out because he did a great job. He wired, Howard, what did he tell us today? Was it 65 individual strands in that wiring harness twice. When the drive shaft blew out, it grabbed the harness and pulled it apart. We can't even get a harness anymore for it. So he spliced it together twice. He went above and beyond. We would have lost that truck a year ago, and we would have been short a vehicle then, and he tried to keep it together. So it's just time. As I said, I don't make this stuff up. This is the way it happens. It's not what I want to do, but if we don't buy a truck now, we're going to have no truck in July, and we're going to have to wait up to a year and a half potentially to get it. And I just don't think that that's in the position we want DPW to be in. We have 5 1-ton pickups. We have 5 1-ton dump trucks. That's a total of 10. We have 13 plow routes. The other 3 vehicles and 1 loader are used for those other routes as well. So if we don't have a truck to replace it, we're going to be short one of the trucks on the plow routes, and that's an issue.
So this will put us down to 80,000 in our reserve fund, right? That's what you said?
62.
62.
62,000. So what happens if we where's the money coming from to replace the roof off that blew off at the deeds office?
Probably insurance.
Probably. Is it, though, did you get an okay for
I
that?
haven't spoken with Jerry
How
about it.
about the boiler, like in the library? Where's the money going to come for
It's
that?
probably going to be a request to bond for it, because this boiler is failing in this building, the library boiler is failing, and I've inherited deferred maintenance for many years in this town, and I have to fix it. And the only way to do that is to pay for it. And we have 3 failed boilers in these town buildings, and they're expensive.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the most economical and efficient way of doing that. And the only way we can do the boilers is I'm probably going to request a bond in order to do that. Probably $500,000 to $1 million in order to do it and do it right. Again, not anything I certainly want to ask our taxpayers to shoulder, but we don't know any other way to do it. This reserve fund, it won't cut it. It's not going to pay for anything with the boilers at all.
No, right.
Too
That's
expensive.
what I'm saying is, this, to me, it just came up so fast. I mean, all of a sudden, I'm making a decision to give, a truck for $80,000 after just 3 days before I heard about it, and it just kind of blows my mind, that kind of stuff, and to hear that, what's all wrong with it, I mean, that should have been brought up to you or someone else well in advance of the time frame that I'm looking at it for it, because that stuff doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you got a broken frame, you got holes in it. I mean, that truck must have been like that for quite some time. And now all of a sudden, we're asking for $80,000. How much did we pay for the backhoe, the payloader, I mean?
So that's paid from Chapter 90 over a 5-year period at about $30-something thousand a year. I'm sorry, Joe, but DPW cost us money. I feel like I'm being questioned tonight in terms of.
Let me jump in here, because I was at DPW.
Hold on a second. Okay. Are you good?
Yeah,
I'm good.
Okay.
Can I? In industry, I've worked on developing preventive maintenance programs, so I'm very familiar with these issues. And I took the tour today again of DPW, and what these people are doing, ideally, in the best of all possible worlds, you basically, when you procure a capital asset like a truck, it has a useful life, okay? If I'm not mistaken, and then you budget it to retire that truck at the end of the useful life and bring in, and that's what a reserve fund is for. In the way Adams has been run, the DPW has been keeping in service assets that have outlived their useful life. And because there's not enough money to replace some of the capital equipment because of the deferring a lot of these major investments. So the reason it was a surprise is because that truck should have been retired 2 or 3 years ago. But because there wasn't enough money to do it, they had to make all these Band-Aid kind of fix it, to keep it in service. So when it fails, it had to fail catastrophically. Otherwise, they would have kept it in service.
Yeah, but isn't that throwing money out the window when you know it's beyond its lifetime?
What I heard is that Jay asked them to limp it along really through this year to get us to the next budget cycle.
And there was a risk involved in doing that.
Capital
because
expense, and now it's at a point where it's not even usable, and there's also, we all know what the demand is for vehicles right now, and the shortage of vehicles, and there's a vehicle that matches this on the lot that we could actually put in service soon. Otherwise, we're waiting for another truck to come along that we can actually purchase, and it's going to be 8 to 12 months at best to get a vehicle that's not sitting on a lot. And so, that's what I'm hearing is the urgency, and that's why I took the tour over at DPW. I looked at everything myself, and we have the specs all sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
We also had the vehicle maintenance schedule that was given to us as part of the budget cycle last year.
Yeah.
So we knew that the vehicles need some maintenance.
And it can't really pass inspection. We barely made it by, and it really, by the law, it's not, you can't even.
And you said this is one of 3 vehicles that does not have the corrosion.
Yes.
So, and why you would be putting forward another truck possibly in the capital
We
for
would
this year?
if we were to keep
Replace
money
maybe one
in the
of those.
capital budget for another DPW vehicle, it would likely be a pickup truck, so we don't run into this problem.
Okay.
because that would be the next vehicle. The single axles, the town did those don't get as much road mileage. These trucks get heavy usage, and the pickups truck gets heavy usage.
Yeah.
So if you notice the one that Mr. Scrocky drives around, it has the flatbed on it, so that bed was rotten. But the motor, the frame, the cab were good. So rather than replacing that truck and coming to a reserve fund request then, we jettisoned the bed and put the flatbed body on it. So we did that, and eventually that will have to be repaired. So from a proactive standpoint, I may ask the board in the capital program to say, let's order a one-ton pickup truck so we're in that queue line. If MHQ or any other dealer said, we could probably turn around a dump truck for you by late summer or early fall, I probably wouldn't be in front of you. I'd probably say, let's just do it in the capital program again. But it's going to be a year to 18 months, which means we're going to be short the truck during next season, plow season, and that's the problem. Our fleet is not actually that large. We have just the right amount, as we should. If you go down there any given workday, there's only a couple of trucks probably sitting in the garage. The truck that's used for the mason work, which they use when they do the structures, the leaf truck with the box on it, those are the two that are not corrosion protected, and they're only used in warm weather months now. The broom, the sweeper, old 32, which is the big orange International, that sits there, and probably the single axles. But if you'll notice, all the pickup trucks are out and all the dump trucks are out.
Yeah, I'd like to say, when I was first selectman, I remember we had, I think John and Rick can attest to it. I asked them specifically, do you undercoat your vehicles? No. So I'm the one that brought that to the forefront a long time ago. And I don't know, is it going to be next, they're going to be coming in and, because I remember we had a conversation about, for laying blacktop. Is that going to be something that they're going to be coming in next for?
Not to buy it, no. Not to buy the paver, no.
Okay.
I don't think we would do that, Joe, without running a pilot program, see how it works. We can lease it for a year, try it. Because Chapter 90 would qualify for that. In fact, I'd be using Chapter 90 for this truck if it qualified, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
The single axles do.
Yeah. My concern is that as, the highway department, I'm not picking on them, I know a lot of those guys, but, with the amount of money now paying out for gas and things, we have to find a way to make sure that when people are at their workplace, they're at their workplace, and an hour before quitting time, you don't go for a ride to kill the rest of the day. And I see it.
So I'd like to stay on
Okay,
on the topic.
all right, I'll stay on.
On topic.
All right, yeah, okay.
The
All right, I'll
chocolate
stay
stuff.
on the topic, okay?
Thank you.
And what I'd like to say is that I know I'm going to vote for it, but, I think that things need to be changed a little bit. I think there has to be more cohesiveness within some of our high put-out monies for, we're looking at things, and I'll bring that up during, as John mentioned, I won't get off the topic, but I will bring that up during budget time.
Okay. Rick, do you have any questions?
Questions? No. Do I like bringing the reserve fund down to 64 at this point in the year? No. But I don't like getting a tow truck for my own vehicle to go to a garage. It's not something you can plan for sometimes.
Okay, and that's, we budget every year $175,000. I think we all agree it'd be nice to keep it at 175, and it'll go in our free cash, right? And we can use it for the future.
I've
but-
said before at finance committee meetings, et cetera, and I think any department head, and they will tell you, Chief Kleiner will tell you, Jerry Garner will tell you, Mr. Coda and Mr. Shafrick from DPW will tell you, anytime anyone comes to me and says, we need a reserve fund transfer, I put them through the ringer. Because it's my goal at the end of the year to take that money and put it into the stabilization account, which is how we're going to eventually build that up. Some years, my first year, I don't think we had any hits to the reserve fund. In 20, when we had to reduce the budget, I asked Mary Beverly, I said, reduce the reserve fund. We didn't use it. She says, Jay, in my experience, I would not do that. You'd never know. Well, you know what? Mary was right. And, here we are again. And if I thought of different ways to do this. I asked them to use different trucks. Can we stretch it out? And I wasn't, in my opinion, this is the better way to continue to serve give DPW what's needed for them to do their job and continue to serve the town. I think it would be a degrade of service if we didn't do it. I don't like it either. That number, that 62 grand doesn't, that gives me a little, it's March. If this was last October, November, usually I don't like hitting that until January, last 6 months of the year, the elevator. I could give you a whole list of capital projects, but and also, if there wasn't a truck on the lot that matched exactly your specifications and wasn't that price, I also would just probably wait too. But I think this is the best case scenario for it, best solution.
What about a rental for a year?
I think at the end of the day, it's the insurance for it, and I don't even know where to rent a truck for municipal service. They're severe service vehicles.
Well, somewhere like Pittsfield Lawn and Tractor, they have large trucks for rentals. It's just, it's early in the year, and, and all of a sudden, we're gonna be saying, well, we gotta get money, and then we're gonna start bonding, and what's our bond rating? What are we? Are we A or?
Yeah, the thing is A or double A, yeah.
Okay, sticking with the vehicle itself, any further questions on the fund transfer request put forward by the town administrator? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the reserve fund transfer request to Public Works Highway Equipment for a Ford F550 one-ton dump and plow truck in the amount of $80,000.
A motion by Christine, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rick. And again, this leaves us at 62 $62,000 left in that account. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. I want to say that my aye is very tepidly given.
Okay, we have, it's unanimous decision. Okay, thank you. Now, new business is complete. Department reports, town administrator.
It is pothole season, as we all know. We've suffered quite a bit of freeze-thaw cycles. That has certainly popped up some potholes early. The reclaimer has been working and the hot box has been working. However, the company that supplies the chemical that's used in the reclaiming box suffered a fire where they lost the majority of their stock. We were down to our last bucket of chemical yesterday, or today I should say. North Adams is low as well. This is affecting every municipality. So we're using a cold patch as well. Cold patch, so that people know, doesn't hold as well as the actual hot mix. However, we believe that DPW has word that there's a plant that's going to open up soon out to our east, and we're looking at being able to just go out there and get a load and be able to do it that way. So DPW is out there. We're receiving the complaints that come in. Ms. DeRose is giving them to DPW, and they're going section by section of the town to do it. You may have seen that Associated Building Records is mobilized on the site for the new Cumberland Farms. They're working out there. All their permits have been issued, and work is underway in the new Cumberland Farm site. While speaking of vehicles, in July, or June, I should say, of last year, town meeting approved the capital purchase of a new police cruiser. That was ordered for $55,000 in July. That was just received last week. It's car number 44. I hope everybody waves to it when it goes by. You'll see that we have restored the traditional Massachusetts Adams Police Department badge to the front fenders of the car. Chief and I are kind of proud of that. And we moved the number 44 to the front. So we're edging our way back to a traditional black and white looking cruiser. The old 44 was the one that probably should have been totaled. It wasn't. It was repaired. It has been nickel and diming us a little bit, so that car will be pushed down into the fleet and used as a reserve or a detail vehicle, adding less mileage to it. Today we had our pre-bid meeting for the wastewater treatment plant. There were about 2 general contractors walking around and 5 electrical contractors walking around. I didn't have a chance to talk to Ty and Bond after that if they felt that that was a sufficient number to get a good competitive bid, but that was held today. We received 6 bids at 4 o'clock, by 4 o'clock today, for the owner's project manager for the Greylock Glen Outdoor Center. So Miss Season is opening up those, and we'll be assembling our group soon, which I believe involves 2 members of this board, to choose the OPM. And then lastly, if folks didn't see it, I believe late on Friday, we got word, but Congressman Neal was true to his word, and we received, or due to receive, I should say, $1 million earmarked for the Greylock Glen Outdoor Center in the omnibus spending bill that was a bipartisan effort in Congress to pass. So we have some good news coming in, and also we were also awarded, congratulations to Eamon for his efforts. He filed a community compact grant with Williamstown and the city of North Adams.
I think that's embargoed. Is it embargoed, or can it be announced? I thought your email said it was embargoed.
I didn't read that it was.
Okay.
At any rate, we received another grant. More information will be coming down the road. Eamon, thank you for your efforts on that. That'll benefit our communities. That's all I have for this evening.
Okay. Questions from the board? So in regards to the filling the potholes, and what we're still doing is we're still doing the mixing at the DPW garage.
Yep.
The hot mix, we bought that box several years ago, and we're going out there. And I noticed they did Lime Street, and they've done some other streets. Front Street, I think they got to some of the.
Friend and West was done yesterday.
Friend and West was done, but, and I noticed coming down Powell Street to this meeting that you could already see the pothole mixture starting to come up. So those are all going to have to be redone again when that hot mix plant, the asphalt plant starts up again. So we'll be back to do these again. These are temporary fixes, and we're going to get back to these. And and there's another topic for budget discussion is the condition of our roads and how we're going to, and I think we had a workshop on this too, on fixing and maintaining our roads, and we need to get into that too in the budget session. Okay, so there weren't any questions, I guess, for...
No, I had a few questions.
Oh, go ahead.
Now, when you're saying that there's a batch plant going to open down east, what's down east?
We think around Worcester.
So is that financially feasible to send big trucks down there?
It is,
The price of gas?
Yes, because it takes 3 to 4 hours to make a hot mix load in the yard. We don't have the material to do it. So we either spend the time going to get a load and coming back and taking care of the potholes, or dumping cold patch, that'll last 48 hours.
Well, okay, and have you heard anything, Jay, about Jordan Street?
No, nothing yet.
Nothing yet? Have you
Nothing
been
yet.
making calls to see how it's going?
Donna's managing that project. She received a couple of calls. We were attempting to get, if you recall, her time essentially paid for by FEMA in order to do it, and they approved all that, and that was in the pipeline.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we have it. It's just they're not releasing the money yet and not telling us they're going to do it. This has to be probably the longest grant application process we've ever had.
Okay, I think that's all I have. I have other questions, but I'm not going to voice them today.
Okay, anything else? All right, moving on to town council.
All right, since my last report on March 2nd, I performed the following work. I met with several department heads on March 3rd to discuss legal issues they are encountering. I followed that meeting with an email to a property owner regarding stream flooding in her neighborhood. I researched and rendered an opinion concerning the Rosary Sodality's use of the Visitor Center for meetings. I continued my preparations for the arbitration in the Foster versus Board of Health matter, which included discussions with the witnesses in the case. I reviewed the change of manager applications submitted by Annie Liquor, Inc., and I provided guidance concerning the issue of campaigning on public property.
Okay, any questions for Attorney St. John? Okay, hearing none, thank you. Subcommittee liaison reports. Joe?
Nothing?
Rick?
Nothing.
Christine?
Yes, I do have information. As the board is aware, I do serve on the BRTA advisory board. The BRTA is proposing service changes to be effective July 1st of 2022 on several of their bus routes. Most of the changes are affecting South County, but that will affect any of our residents here who travel to work in those areas. So the changes include relocated or new bus stops. There's an introduction of a micro-transit pilot program, but there's also the cancellation of some of those routes. Information about the virtual public meetings. There was one held on Monday, one held this evening. There's another one held on Friday. And there are 2 in-person public meetings next week, March 24th, and then the following week, March 30th. Both will be held in Pittsfield at the BRTA offices. They are seeking comments about the route changes, and there's information on the town's website as well as the BRTA's website, which is berkshirerta.com, about the proposed changes, the in-person meetings, the virtual meetings, and how you can submit comments. But the full presentation can be available there. Thanks.
Okay. Oh,
Nothing to report.
okay, so we're going to have a workshop. It's going to be next Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
It's, we were going to have a workshop last, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, last week, and there was only 2 items, but now we're going to include those 2 items onto next week's workshop, but we also have Eamon's going to describe some additional discussion we're going to have for next Wednesday. So I guess we can wait till he comes up, we'll discuss a little bit more. Okay, next.
He's right there.
Okay, there he is. Announcements in good order. Eamon.
So 1 week from today, from 3 to 7 p.m., we'll be holding in this room our open house to kind of kick off the Howland Ave Route 8 redesign project that we're undertaking with our engineer VHB. So it's been in the works for some time. Anybody that drives on Howland Ave and Route 8 knows that can be a pretty intimidating section of roadway, and also that it's not in very good shape. So we're looking at a redesign that would reduce the pavement footprint down to two vehicle lanes, separated by a large landscaped median in the middle. That'll improve the aesthetics of the road, help to create a kind of a better gateway into town, and then as well, just in general, improve safety and improve the flow of traffic as well. We're also looking at including sidewalks on both sides of the road, as well as the north side would have a shared use path, so for bicycles and pedestrians, a large, 10-foot wide path for folks to use. So overall, I think it'll really help roadway users of all types along that section. So next week, we're really looking to get public feedback and comments on the conceptual design. We have sent out a mailer to all the property owners, basically that directly abut the roadway from the roundabout north to the town line with North Adams. So I think roughly 75 invites went out to folks. We've also done some outreach to the larger businesses in the area to try to set up some one-on-one meetings so they can understand the implications of the conceptual design as it stands now, and we can try to work with them to see if there's any adjustments that can be made. So next week, I'm hoping we get a good turnout, that we get some of the larger businesses and landowners or residents that come in. We're going to walk through the conceptual design with them, and see what changes they'd like to be made. And then our engineer, I think there'll be 3 or 4 engineers from VHB on hand to answer questions from the public. At 6 p.m., we'll hold the workshop with the board. VHB will be on hand to give a formal presentation to you guys and to help answer your questions. From then, from that point on, we'll work with DOT to basically get the project going and in the pipeline for federal funds.
Okay, so the workshop starts at 6. Any questions for Eamon?
Well, the open house will be from 3 to 7, workshop for the last hour, 6 to 7, the workshop with the full board.
So the open houses, I've been to the Route 8 one, so is it just individuals coming here, business owners, homeowners,
It's just
asking questions?
It's a
looking at the
3-hour,
charts,
3-hour drop-in time for all residents to come in and get their questions answered.
the questions answered, and to see some drawings, proposed drawings. of
Yep,
the
we'll have
project.
the conceptual design be printed out on, 4 boards. They'll probably be, 10 feet long or something like that. So it'll be a good detailed drawing that we can start to work from and make changes to.
Okay, questions from the board?
Evan, would you be able to provide some of the materials ahead of Wednesday for the board? I know that we saw them, I think, like in 2018. It's been a long time.
Yeah, of course. I'll put a packet together for everyone.
Okay, that would be great. Thanks.
Any other questions from the board? Looking forward to that. Okay, I believe that's it. Motion to adjourn.
No, announcements. And to the chair, you had said that there's other things on the workshop agenda. What are they?
This is BRPC, right, for the economic development area?
Tamatu, so it's going to come down?
Wiley is one of the names that was, yeah,
Wiley Goodman.
Goodman, yeah. And I'm going to ask Tom. Was there one more?
Well, you said it, I don't know.
disposal.
Garbage, that's what it was, garbage disposal. That garbage disposal was a bylaw that was voted in many moons ago.
71.
In 71, that all new structures require garbage disposal, and we've had some questions from the residents as why is that required? So that is the third item.
Is it just residential or is it business?
Business also.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, I just wanted to know it was on the agenda.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, now we go to announce, or go to the order, right? Okay, Joe.
Well, once again, I want everybody to be constantly saying prayers for the people of Ukraine. It's something that, once again, it tears at my heart every time I watch it. And we just need peace in this world. I don't know any other way to put it, but when I see the scenes and of what's happening there, it's time that the only way that Putin, I believe, is going to be ushered out of power is if the people of Russia finally realize who he is and what he's doing. And as long as the secrets can come out, maybe perhaps his time will come, because I don't know, I just can't stand watching what I'm seeing on TV, and I hurt every time I see it. The people are just being massacred indiscriminately, children, and I don't know how to express myself the way that I really feel about it, and that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you. Rick?
I have nothing.
Okay, Christine?
I just have a couple of things. A reminder that Thunderfest is coming up on Saturday, March 26th. I think it's noon to 5 over at the Visitor Center. I also wanted to just remind the board that you've received an invitation to the Western Massachusetts Municipal Conference on April 9th in East Hampton. There have been emails from, I know, Deb, BRPC, and MMA. So if you are interested in attending, please register soon. And then also the MMA, Massachusetts Municipal Association, has been holding their legislative breakfast over the last couple of weeks in all of the various parts of the Commonwealth. And they are talking about their advocacy efforts to increase the UGA, or unrestricted general government aid, by 7.3%. I think everybody remembers that the governor was level funding that for all of the municipalities. That would be a huge increase if it were moved to 7.3%. They're also advocating for an increase in Chapter 70 a minimum aid to $100 per student, fully funding school transportation accounts, and advocacy on Chapter 90 increased money. So just know that MMA is working on all of those items. That's all I have.
Okay, Howard?
Nothing for me, thanks.
Okay, so I think just one more thing, Jay, in regards to the budget season is now upon us. I'm thinking by Friday or Monday that we put out an email to the Finance Committee and to the Board of Selectmen to identify some dates, possible dates.
Yeah, I think we're looking at the first week of April.
Right, so we're going to probably meet a couple times a week. Last year we did so. We're going to meet with the Finance Committee. If anyone has any concern with that, let us know, but we're going to meet again together to do the budget together. All right, so we'll get the email out requesting available dates by the end of the week or by Monday. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. For discussion, all in favor?
Aye.